300 leads in late December and January. It was actually a bit over that number. Week in, week out. Lead flow coming in, it's handled correctly, retargeted really well. We tripled the revenue numbers from the previous January. The cost of lead, reduced quite significantly. As our businesses have actually grown in the last 12 months and working with them. And I could highly recommend them. I'm David Zerner, the founder and director at Timar Buyers Agency. We are a buyers agency based here in Tasmania. We purchase property for people, for investors, or people relocating to our buyers agency space for about 6 years. And we just buy just in our beautiful little state of Tasmania. We help them with purchasing investment properties. Also, we help them when they are relocating either nationally or internationally to our state in buying their home to live in. In terms of generating consistency in our lead flow, it's property is a saturated market, and it's a highly competitive market. So standing out is really important. Being clear and concise to our client is really important. But they're also very challenging for us to do in this space. A buyer's agency, different to other businesses, we're a service-based business. So we're here to service a client in terms of buying a property in our sort of realm, a new industry where we're leading and guiding and helping the community purchase a home to live in or an investment property. So it's a service-based business. Consistency of lead flow has always been a challenge. Naturally we're in a small state, or around 500,000 people. So that lead flow was quite lumpy for a few years. And that just, mean we had to manage the business a bit differently and put a lot of effort and work into that marketing space to ensure leads are consistent month on month. I came across Dean and Results Media. Nature of myself is I do deep dive review on businesses that I like to work with. So I did some, look at reviews, and I went through the website, and I spoke to Dean a couple of times, and I think he came down to sort of 3 other businesses that I was wanting to work with, and I think there was a real key thing that stood out. The authenticity of that business, proven understanding of our business model was also very important, and our industry as well. As I mentioned before, it's hard to stand out in a really crowded atmosphere, and I think we're doing that really well in terms of the creativity piece we're doing, but that consistency we're putting out to the community. And what we're seeing is a continued success rate, but also learning through each other on how the business works, and how to continue to reach different client bases around Australia, locally, internationally as well. So that's sort of the spread of our market, and I think we've actually got better and better through that collaboration, and that's the way we love to work, and that's what we appreciate so much about Results Media is the collaboration that we're doing. It's the impact that it's had so far. I suppose our business works off the traditional financial year model, and our business has doubled since July 2025 to December 2025. Always looked at somewhere between that 60 and 80 leads a month. So 3 or 4 times that volume over a 4 to 6 week period was quite an adjustment. It was tough in terms of adding that sales component to the business. But that's, the cost of lead, reduced quite significantly, huge brand awareness through that period of time as well. So, our business in terms of starting in 2026, got off to a huge start. We tripled the revenue numbers from the previous January, and that flowed into February, and it's actually flowing into this month as well. It's been probably one of the highlights that we've seen is, we think it's easy to attract inquiry, but the level of intent in those inquiries is really important. And what we're seeing really is the intent level, is quite high. So our conversations, our initial conversations, and they're flowing through our sales campaign really well. And that really stems from the volume of marketing and the content that we're putting out, and it proving because they convert into sales. And really that's the measure that we look at the lead turning into sales for us. If you're a business and you have a good sales process in place, and a good delivery service in place, bring someone like Results Media in, who they'll understand your industry, understand who your ideal client profile is, and then align that marketing strategy to build your business. And really, that's what's happened with us. Is our businesses have actually grown significantly in the last 12 months of working with them, and I could highly recommend them to most service businesses.